The proposed development trust, UC26, will be a standard Natgen development trust. We will be developing 27 high-end office warehouse units for sale. The site itself is an irregular shaped parcel situated adjacent from UC19 and sits perched off the M1 corridor. There is local amenity near the site, being a multitude of retail shopping centres just minutes drive from the site itself. The proposed site itself sits directly within the mix of a multitude of users. The site also sits in an immediate core infill area with a lack of ongoing supply coming in the short term. The location of this development site was prudent to our investment thesis. The site splits over 2 individual titles and is 5,800 square metres. The site, also being perched off the M1 corridor, was a real backbone behind our investment reasoning as to our criteria for the site. The Natgen UC26 development site splits over 2 titles, being 5,800 square metres, and is located on Northwood Street in the immediate Upper Coomera precinct. There is a multitude of amenity. There are 3 immediate shopping centres in the short term and is situated off the M1 corridor, being the Gold Coast to Brisbane's highest growth corridor. We strongly like this area due to the increase in population and strong demographic figures, which has been relevant in our UC19 and UC22 development projects. This development aligns with Natgen's philosophy, largely due to the strong macro thematics. If you've seen, there's been a substantial amount of investment into infrastructure projects from the Gold Coast to Brisbane. The M1 itself sees 170,000 vehicles pass by this site on a daily basis. It is an amenity-rich area, one that only has 3 to 4 years left of undeveloped and developed industrial land left for building. This places a high constraint on the industrial market. The Coomera region, which has seen such a substantial amount of investment, is validated via third parties. There's the Westfield Coomera Shopping Centre, the Coomera-based hospital, which has seen a significant amount of government investment behind it, not to mention the Coomera Connector and various local infrastructure projects. On the acquisition side of UC26, initially stemmed from our initial due diligence process on the location benefits of these sites, which is validated via third party and council and state investment projects in the immediate area. Initially, once these locations have been sourced, UC26 being on Northwood Street, we typically enter the negotiation stage of the cycle. These negotiations can last weeks, if not months, and we quite literally go to every grit and grasp for our investors to get the best price for these sites. Natgen manages risk throughout the development trust process, predominantly by conducting a large amount of preliminary due diligence before we go and negotiate or go ahead with these sites. We know they have strong bones and have a high chance of success. The typical way Natgen de-risks these projects is negotiating the best possible price under market value for these sites. This puts our investors in the best and highest position for the sale of the units at the end of the project. We conduct preliminary due diligence and due diligence with a range of third-party experts, stemming from the technical aspect to valuation aspect of these sites. When we do go and purchase them, we know they work and we know our investors will get an uplift in return over time. The way that Natgen goes about de-risking and selling down these sites is quite simple. Early on in the process, before they are built, we are engaged by a multitude of agencies where we select our preferred party that we believe will achieve the highest and best results for our investors. Throughout the building life cycle aspect of the development process. We will commit a few pre-sales to de-risk the project. Once the project comes to the end of its building life cycle, typically we see a large amount of local occupiers and investor interest predominantly pick up, and that is where we do the majority of our sales for our investors at or above market price. The reason Natgen continues to select these sites and build these types of projects typically stems to our short trust term for investors. We have completed 5 out of 8 of our recent development trusts, and these have all gone quite well. The reason Natgen continues to select these sites and build these types of products largely stems to the macro thematics behind them. With the amount of industrial land left to be sold or serviced within the Gold Coast to Brisbane corridor only stems a few years out. This puts a large supply constraint on the amount of developable land over the next few years. There's also a large amount of demand from occupiers within the local areas, particularly from SMEs who look to occupy or even buy these spaces, which has come to great success for our previous development projects, of which we have developed 8 now.